telegram. Quote, "My heartiest congratulations. And I suggest you bring a pair of asbestos trousers with you." Washington Post reported moments ago that the spokesman for the president's legal team has just resigned. But the president is querying his legal team on the extent of his pardon powers, including the question of whether he can pardon himself. And the Washington Post reporting that the White House is exploring ways to cast aspersions on the special counsel investigation that is now looking into the president's campaign and its connections with Russia. Joining us now is Michael Beschloss. He's NBC News presidential historian, and he's the guy we went to find out if there was any precedent like this today. Mr. Beschloss, thank you for being here.
Thank you very much, Rachel.
This is, I know already, not like anything that's ever happened before. But let me just ask you about the pardons issue that has just been reported on by the Washington Post.
Yep.
They're saying that the president has reportedly been asking whether he can pardon his staffers, his family, and himself, and that his attorneys are considering those matters. What should be our historical reference points for thinking about that?
Well, in keeping with your theme tonight, Rachel, of doing the opposite of what happened before, Richard Nixon, who was enmeshed in Watergate, is thought to this day in some quarters to be sort of the definition of dishonorable behavior. He was advised by some of his people, why don't you pardon yourself, save yourself the danger of being indicted after you leave office and maybe going to prison. And Nixon said, the ability of the president to pardon himself, that's not been established, but B, it would be dishonorable, and I will not do that. Some of Nixon's aides, Bob Haldeman, his chief of staff, called him up just, the day before he resigned in August of 1974, begged him to pardon him before he left office, and Nixon wouldn't do it because he thought that was dishonorable. Obviously very different from what we're seeing tonight. If Donald Trump thinks that he can easily pardon himself and pardon his aides, pardon his children, and limit the Mueller investigation, perhaps fire Mueller or Jeff Sessions and Rosenstein, we are on our way, if that happens, to seeing a constitutional crisis that will make Watergate look like a minor event by comparison.
Michael, one of the things the president said last night, which I felt like was kind of a spotlight for where he might go, for what his thinking is about, for what he hasn't yet done, but he is at least considering doing, is he talked about the FBI and the fact that it's sort of an historical anomaly, or maybe inappropriate, that the FBI director reports up the chain to the Department of Justice, to the Deputy Attorney General and to the Attorney General. He said that the FBI director should report directly to him as president. Then immediately thereafter, he said, I think we're going to have a very good new FBI director. And that nominee to be FBI director was in fact approved unanimously by the Senate Judiciary Committee today. He was citing what he described as historical example in terms of explaining why the FBI director should report directly to him. Was he correct in that?
No, he was not. I found his suggestion of the FBI director working directly for the president, reporting to him, that is absolutely blood-chilling. The whole history of the FBI, J. Edgar Hoover from 1924 to 1972 when he died, it's the example of an FBI director who behaved badly and did bad things for presidents. Presidents from Roosevelt up to Nixon asked Hoover to investigate their enemies and harass them in politics, to try to harass senators who gave them trouble, harass journalists who wrote bad things or said bad things about them. That is what we have tried to get away from all the way since 1972. That was the purpose of a 10-year term, that a president could not fire an FBI director, which Donald Trump has done. So what we're seeing is he's suggesting turning back the clock so that presumably he would have the ability to order the FBI to investigate, let's say, Dean Heller, who might give him trouble on health care. You saw what he said to him yesterday at that lunch at the White House, or journalists who are unhappy with various things that Donald Trump is doing. This is the period that we thought we were getting away from.
Michael Beschloss, NBC News presidential historian, thank you. I've talked to you about a lot of things over the years. I've never before heard you say the words blood-chilling. It's sobering, and this is serious stuff. Thank you, my friend. It's nice to have you here.
Thank you.
Thank
you, my friend, and I don't say that easily.
Yeah, I know. That's what freaks me out. All right. I have to tell you, we've got, as I mentioned, we've got this breaking news from the Washington Post tonight that the president's, the spokesman for his legal team has resigned, that advisors to the president, people in communication with the president, say they were shocked that Jeff Sessions, as Attorney General, did not resign when he spoke this morning at the Department of Justice after what the president said about him last night. And the president is reportedly speaking to his legal team about his pardon powers. That's from the Washington Post. The New York Times has also just posted a new piece just moments ago that suggests that at least part of the investigation into the president and his campaign may be taking a criminal turn that we did not know about before. We've got that breaking news for you next.